When working on any project, you're likely going to find yourself having to import a CSV into a database. Hopefully that database is Postgres because, well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. And of course, Postgres is awesome. Anyway, today I'm going to be working with emission plan data from NASA's Cassini-Huygens mission. If you've been living in a cave for the last 2 decades or somewhere in Texas and don't know what Cassini is, well, here you go. This probe orbited Saturn and its moons for 20 years, changing science forever and giving us some of the most insane photos ever. It also cruised past Enceladus 23 times. Enceladus is one of Saturn's moons that's 300 miles in diameter. Cassini zoomed past at ridiculous speeds, sniffing jets of water thrown into space from a liquid ocean under the ice with the same composition as our own. Cassini did this because Enceladus is the prime candidate for extraterrestrial life in our solar system. That ocean is just like our own and could have deep-sea vents driving this ecosystem with the heat generated at the core. Anyway, we have mission plan data and it's free from NASA. Thank you so much. And we need to import that fat CSV into Postgres. The first step is to create a directory, which you can see I'm doing here, that we can work in, and some files to do our work in. Now, I'm not a Neanderthal. I'm a pro, so I use SQL scripts instead of raw commands in the Postgres CLI. I'm also going to create a README file here so that I can complain about things when I see stuff in the data I don't like. Now, I can't do much without a database, so I'll create one here using createdb Cassini, a command which is going to create the DB. Duh. I could use a GUI tool like Navicat to import that CSV for me, but like I said, I'm not a Neanderthal, so I'll take a peek at the fields from the CSV using the head command, and boom, there we are. Head is your best friend when working with CSVs because trying to get field names using something like Excel or just a raw text editor is so, We're pros, right? We use the shell. Besides, this makes things easy when the files are huge. Cracking open VS Code and I'll get to work. I'm going to start out by creating a schema to work in, which I'll creatively call CSVs. Woohoo! On a side note, never import raw CSVs into your public schema. It's just, not very pro-like. Next, I'll create my master plan table and paste the results of my head command. Easy peasy. Here I'm going to use a little VS Code wizardry to change all the selected values. I'm going to pop in a new line and then set every column type to the type text. Why text, you ask? Well, because all string types in Postgres are text under the covers, so why mess around with other types? Second, adding a length constraint actually slows things down during import, and since I have a ton of data, I want this fast. And finally, can you just trust me, okay? I do this kind of thing for a living. Now I need to do the actual copying, and for that, we use a built-in Postgres command, and yes, that's right, I said it's built in. It's true. Here's the basic syntax for the command, and this is what it looks like when you actually write it for reals. Note how I have to use an absolute file reference and specify the delimiter as a comma. I also have to tell Postgres that there is a header row, and finally, while I don't have to specify CSV, it just makes me feel better, so I did. I can run this SQL file straight from the command line using the Postgres binary psql. I push the import.sql file right in, and we are done. We can check our work by cracking open Postico, which is a free GUI tool for Postgres on a Mac. We could also use psql for this, but it's really hard to read, so I think we can let it slide and not be too pro about this. Anyway, here's all that amazing data straight from space. I think this is cool. But wait, there's more. I keep trying to explain that I am not a Neanderthal, and that I do derpy things like creating SQL scripts that can only be run once. We don't want to do that, do we? We are pros. And plus, I'd ruin all my cred. I'm going to add a line at the very, very top, and this is a much better script. As you can see, I have added drop schema if exists, and adding cascade so that all the objects inside the schema, tables, views, functions, and so on, are dropped as well. You want to be sure that you only drop the things that your script creates, but given that this is the import script, this is where I'm going to be creating, dumping, dropping, importing, and all that stuff, so I'm good. If you're curious and want to learn more about SQL and Enceladus, I did a 2.5-hour video course called SQL in Orbit that dives into the basics of data science and Postgres. We use data from the Cassini mission because I hate boring demos with to-do lists and made-up DVD stores. I also wrote a really popular book called A Curious Moon, which goes even deeper into the same subjects. It's a fictional narrative of my fictional friend Deanne as she takes on the role of DBA at my fictional aerospace startup, Red 4. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below.